With that, Matt, happy to
Okay, well, that
to
was
kick it
quite
off
a
with you.
mouthful, wasn't
I know.
it?
Sometimes we have things to share.
Yeah. So I do want to, before I get back to that, let me just ask one real quick question
Sure.
about what's your understanding of the status of detained American citizens in Saudi Arabia? And I'll go right to Israel.
Sure. So, Matt, the welfare and safety of U.S. citizens overseas is, as you know, the highest priority of the Department of State. We are aware of reports that a U.S. citizen was released from prison in Saudi Arabia, and of course, we welcome this news. But there's a limit to any further detail that I'm able to get into, given privacy considerations.
So you can't say at all whether it is correct that Mr. Al-Mahdi, whose son has talked publicly about his father being released.
What I would say is that we're aware of these reports, and we welcome this news, but I'm not able to get into any further details.
Okay. Then on your opening statement about Israel and the Knesset law, I'm just wondering, those are strong words, but are you going to do anything in response?
Matt, this is
Or is it just something that you're going to criticize verbally?
Matt, these are topics and issues that we raise directly with our Israeli counterparts. As I outlined in my topper, we did so as recently as over the course of the past 2 days at the Aqaba meetings, as well as the meetings taking place in Sharm el-Sheikh. This is something we have raised consistently through channels in this building, through Ambassador Tom Nides. It's something that President Biden had the opportunity to discuss with Prime Minister Netanyahu. It's something the Secretary has raised as well, and this is something that we're going to continue to remain deeply engaged and vocal about.
Okay, so the short answer is no, you're not going to actually do anything, other than make statements like critical statements from the podium. Is that a fair assessment of it?
Like I said, this is something that we're going to we continue to raise directly with our Israeli counterparts and remain engaged on. And it's why, quite frankly, as an administration, we continue to remain deeply committed to a negotiated two-state solution.
Right, but you're not actually going to do anything about it other than say that you don't like it.
That we continue
correct?
to have a number of tools at our disposal to engage with our partners and to make our viewpoint quite clear.
So other than this one, you speaking from the podium right now, can you give us one or two examples of what those tools are?
Matt, this is something that we raise directly. It's something our allies and partners in the region also raise directly with Israel and other countries as well.
So, just on the same topic?
Same topic, yeah. Just one thing to clarify. You said this was raised in the Aqaba meeting, but also like recently. I mean, what was the highest level of engagement from State Department to Israelis?
Again, this is something that we raise regularly, the desire to take steps to calm tensions, especially as it relates to the growth and expansion of settlements and outposts. You've seen our ambassador, Tom Nides, speak openly about his engagements on this subject with our Israeli partners. We've done so through Assistant Secretary Leaf and others. The Secretary had the opportunity to discuss this when he was in Jerusalem, and by this I mean specifically the growth of outposts and settlements. I'm not talking about this legislation specifically.
Right, but does the Secretary now have any plans or any other plans for any other high level engagement on this specifically?
I don't have any calls to preview or to get ahead of, but again, this is something that we remain deeply engaged and in close contact on. I'm going to go to Said and then I can come back to you, Leon, since you've had his hat up.
I'm going to try again what Matt just asked you. So, aside from a really strong words, and they were, what can you do? I mean, how can you leverage your statement? How can the United States of America leverage its anger at this decision by the Israeli Knesset?
Said, first what I would say broadly is that the comments from the United States, they're not going into some sort of abyss or vacuum. When the United States speaks about something, countries around the world are listening. And when the United States is engaged on something and committed to something, I believe that the rest of the world is paying attention. And as I have said, this is something specifically we have been very clear about, that the growth of settlements and outposts is inconsistent with our views on what steps are necessary to get us to a negotiated two-state solution in a peaceful way. I was just quite clear about that.
So, countries around the world may be listening. Is Israel listening? Is the government of Israel listening?
Saeed, we engage with the government of Israel quite regularly on a number of issues, including these ones.
Vedant, only yesterday, Smotrich said there is no such thing as the Palestinians. He said he wants this heard in the White House. He made sure to underscore the White House. He's telling you that we're not listening to you. We're not taking anything that you might say into account. That's what he's saying.
What I would say to that, Finance Minister Smotrich is not the only individual in the Israeli government. But what I would say to his comments broadly, Saeed, since you've given me opportunity, is the latest comments by Mr. Smotrich, which were delivered at a podium adorned with an inaccurate and provocative map, are offensive, they are deeply concerning, and candidly, they're dangerous. The Palestinians have a rich history and culture, and the United States greatly values our partnership with the Palestinian people. And as President Biden said last summer in Bethlehem, the U.S. remains committed to two states for two people, both of whom have deep ancient roots in the land, living side by side in peace and security. We also affirm that two states along the 1967 lines with mutually agreed swaps remain the best way to achieve equal measures of security, prosperity, and freedom and democracy for Palestinians and Israelis alike. We underscore the importance of the U.S. strategic relationship with the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, the second Arab state to take the courageous step of making peace with Israel. And we welcome Israel's reaffirmation of the 1994 peace treaty with Jordan.
Well, just if I may follow up, this person, this Israeli minister, was here only 10 days ago. Is this administration willing to declare him a persona non grata, for instance?
Saeed,
what measures can you take against such a statement?
Saeed,
sure
I'm not
if
here.
if somebody denied the existence of another people elsewhere, you would take a very strong statement against such individual.
Saeed, we're taking a strong statement now, and I'm not going to get into hypotheticals about what we would do if another government official in another country did something hypothetical. What I am here to tell you, as I just said a moment ago, is that we found those comments to not only be inaccurate, but also deeply concerning and dangerous.
Except
But
he
the
did not care.
Knesset
He said that, I want this heard in the White House. He said that exactly. You have no response to him. You can't say this person is not welcome in the United States.
I don't have any designation or characterization to offer, Saeed. What I will just leave it at is that those comments were concerning, they were dangerous, and they were offensive.
But the Knesset vote is not a hypothetical. It's happened. They clearly were acting at the behest of the government, of the prime minister, of the finance minister. How can they be held accountable? Where, to repeat what Matt and Saeed have been asking, where is the leverage? What is the discussion in this building about how to hold Israel accountable, keeping in mind that the U.S. has a vested interest in protecting it from a security standpoint, but how can this government allow Israel to undermine the goal of a two-state solution when things such as this have now happened?
Well, first, you are absolutely right. Our commitment to Israel's security and Israel's security concerns are ironclad. But I will also note that we have, when we need to, very frank and honest conversations with our Israeli partners. And there's no hypothetical about it. You're right. This kind of legislation does undermine what we think could be required for a negotiated two-state solution. We've been clear that advancing settlements is an obstacle to peace and an obstacle to achieving a two-state solution, and that certainly what this legislation would do would be create new settlements or buildings and legalize outposts. All of this would further incite tensions and put a negotiated two-state solution further away. I'm not going to stand up here and offer a litany list of all the ways in which we can and hold our Israeli partners accountable, but beyond to say that we raise these issues directly, we raise these issues regularly. We do it through this building, we do it through the president, we do it through Secretary Blinken, we do it through our ambassador. All of those ways are opportunities for us to engage on this issue, which is very, very important to us.
But the point is, even granted that the president had a discussion with the prime minister this past weekend, given that 10 days ago the finance minister was in this country and no one from the U.S. government made a point of meeting with him, not to mention all of the affinity groups that pointedly did not meet with Mr. Smotrich. It looks like it's all talk. What are the things that are being looked at? Could there be travel restrictions on those members of the Knesset who voted for this legislation? Could there be a restriction on funding provided to the Israeli government that does not affect the security portfolio? Could there be anything done? Does this mean that it makes it more likely that the Palestinian consulate is reopened in Jerusalem? What are the things that this government is prepared to do in order to send the message? Because clearly, all of the talk has not given what the U.S. would like to see change in the situation.
There are a number of options that we continue to look at in which we can and do engage with our Israeli partners. I'm not going to get into previewing them, but what I will just say again and reiterate is that this is an issue that is of utmost concern to us and something that we have quite directly and candidly will continue to raise with our Israeli partners.
I mean, I'm not suggesting that the administration might want to consider the James Baker solution of 91, but you have to get the government's attention if you're serious about trying to reach a solution that goes back to 67 with agreed territory
We are
swaps.
serious about a solution, and this administration has taken a number of actions, and the comments that we've offered have indicated how serious we are. And when either side has taken steps that we think put us further away, whether that be the Israelis or the Palestinians, we've been quite vocal about how those steps are unhelpful to getting us to what the United States views as a goal. As I just was at the beginning of this briefing, we have not parsed words when we have felt that certain actions take us away towards what we believe is the best solution for the Israeli and Palestinian people, as well as the best solution that will offer a long-term stability, security, and peace for the region as well.